Hi, I'm Rahul Paith, CEO of Math. Math is a joint initiative by T-Hub and DST to foster AI innovation. At Math, we support startups in AI ML from ideation to market readiness and beyond. Hello, welcome to another session of our podcast series Math for AI, and today I have the privilege to host Mr. Subbu Iyer. Subbu is an corporate executive, startup founder, mentor, leadership trainer, and has established multiple startups, guided a lot of entrepreneurs. And also during my startup journeys, I also had the privilege to interact and learn a lot from Subbu and his team. And also a lot of my friends, colleagues, and peers, they have learned immensely from him. So I'm sure during this conversation and during next sessions, we'll have and our audiences or the viewers also will have a great opportunity to learn from his experience. So thank you, Mr. Subbu. Thanks for taking the time out and thanks for joining us for this discussion.
Thank you very much for having me here.
Great, it's a pleasure. So today you were in Hyderabad. I think like you were in Bangalore, and after many months or many years, you're coming back to Hyderabad, your old city.
Hyderabad is a city I grew up in. I did
Okay,
my entire K-12 here.
great.
I have very fond memories of the city, but unfortunately, it's not the same city today. It's grown by
Absolutely.
leaps and bounds. I can't recognize it anymore, but yes, I'm so happy to be here.
And did you get a chance to try the biryani?
I'm a vegetarian,
Okay.
but yes, I
So
still
the
try the vegetarian biryani.
vegetarian biryani.
Yes.
And that if you ask any non-vegetarians, that's a crime. Biryani, that also veg. But yes, I am sure that Hyderabad has still something to offer for the vegetarians also.
Yes.
Yes, but okay. How you compare, like, when you came back from Bangalore to Hyderabad, you were seeing that, the Hyderabad as a city has grown leaps and bounds. So what is the key differences you're finding between Bangalore's journey and Hyderabad's journey? Because you have seen Bangalore also in last 1 decade or something, the growth, and we are all, know the growth and the success stories of Bangalore. And now probably Hyderabad is also booming like never before. So if you have to compare, like, what are the key differences that you have observed or you're observing now between these two cities?
That's a very interesting question. I'm currently guiding a multinational in its actually decision between establishing a GCC between Bangalore and Hyderabad.
Okay.
Right? And this is one of the key questions that has come up in the conversations. And I think Bangalore has been traditionally, conventionally, from the time that the British established the biggest possible cantonment in Bangalore
Right.
till date. It is all because of its weather, because of its local culture and everything, has always been cosmopolitan. Telangana or Andhra Pradesh, in that sense, has been far more local and protective. But I think what we see today in the last perhaps 5 to 8 years, the growth, not just here in Hyderabad, but also, for example, in Visakhapatnam and other areas of Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, tremendous growth. And I think the key is Hyderabad may not be as cosmopolitan as Bangalore is today, but it is getting there. Its infrastructure. So Hyderabad has the benefit of not making the mistakes that Bangalore has already made. So it's very difficult to kind of rearrange the corridors of whether it is plumbing, whether it is infrastructure, whether it is roads. Hyderabad does not have that problem. It can build, knowing what those problems were and address those problems here. And I think Hyderabad is doing the right thing. And this is a buzzing place. One key difference is that from different parts of the country, if people were asked earlier, they would have preferred to go to Bangalore.
Right.
I think that is being overcome. There are a lot of people. In fact, one of the things that I heard, one of the biggest, GCCs established here in Hyderabad is people who come here, they settle down. They come here, they make it their home.
Right.
So that is a fantastic, aspect
of Hyderabad.
Yeah.
So I think great Jai Telangana. So all Hyderabadis be happy. So, but the thing is that even I can share like my personal experience. I came to Hyderabad like 11 years back, and not just for work, but my family also loved the city, and we decided to settle here. And now it's been 11 years just passed by, and still like we have no plans of moving out of Hyderabad. Although adding to what you mentioned, like at least like When I built my first startup in Hyderabad, always I got these questions from investors and a lot of other people like, Hyderabad, there's a shortage of talent, and why don't you set up an office in Bangalore, or why don't you move your headquarters in Bangalore? Those kind of questions were there, but today those questions don't come that often. Hyderabad has also cope up, or made up for that gaps and things. So today we also do have a thriving community of entrepreneurs. We have a thriving community of investors, and the talent is in abundance available. So those things have also changed. That is what I have seen from a very startup and business perspective. And thanks to ecosystems and initiatives like T Hub, which definitely has helped us. So moving back little towards this your journey, right? We always, like, people who know you, around you, we always aspired you, like, if Subbu is doing this, then there is something really great. And that's also puts some pressure on you. I understand that the expectation from the ecosystem and the fraternity is very high. What Subbu is doing, everybody is looking at it. After having a successful career in corporate, you traveled the world, you lived in different continents, countries. When you decided to come back to India and join one of the startups here, what was that excited you? Because the role you were playing, or the access you were having, even Bay Area, or any other place in Stockholm, or you were also accessible for you. But why you decided to come down to Bangalore and start this journey, and why not any other place?
First of all, I'm a very proud Indian.
Great. Okay.
Second of all, we are a country that has tremendous potential
Right.
to build human capital. But I must also say that we are a country that need to redefine both the human and the capital part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. The human part is the value of the life of people in our country, every member of the society.
Right.
Right. Diversity, we need to learn a lot, and it is happening. It is happening right now. Because when I speak even to a person who served me coffee today morning at a 5-star hotel, right? I ask him, and when he tells me that, sir, I don't have an aspiration anymore because all I'm inundated with family problems, right? It hurts me at a certain level. I'm thinking that this is a 21-year-old kid, right, who has so much of life ahead and so many possibilities, right?
Right.
Not just being in a contact center or developing software. Even if you are an actor, or if you are potter or a carpenter, there is so much that you can contribute to life and make the quality of living better. And none of us can deny the fact that in India, more than anywhere else in the world, right, we need to improve the quality of life. To me, going back to the question that you asked me, I was mentoring two of bright minds that came out of IIM in the healthcare space. And when I started mentoring, when they started with me, the vision was very narrow and very small, right? And I told them, this is an imitation. And I showed them at least 5 or 6 similar ones that are already in the marketplace, who already have funding, right? And I said, how can you even compete with them?
Mm-hmm.
So it took about 6 months to get them onto understanding the differentiation between competition and innovation. And I said, your hope of being a successful startup is in innovation and not in competition. And this is a message that is relevant even today, right? There is a fundamental difference between competition and innovation. Innovation is establishing the new. Competition is trying to outrace what already exists. And when these kids, probably 10-year generational gap between me and them, when they finally bought into the vision,
Right.
it took me a heartbeat to basically leave income base of close to about $350 an hour and come down to India without any commitments and be part of them. Just, we had not even structured an agreement. Okay, it was verbal. I just flew down. I was into it, and I started working with them. Right. I think that is the excitement. There is that potential. How do we? There is this potential needs to be guided. This potential needs to be streamed in a certain direction, right? And for them to be able to see success. And I think that is the exciting part. For me personally today, I have done 2 startups here, and both these startups, I headquartered them in India. Okay, Nandaki Systems, we built a product in the healthcare space. We sold it back to the investors because they had different plans. They had, in the healthcare space, they had plans invested into a bigger company, and we didn't see the common vision.
Right.
So we sold off our product, which is still in use in the industry. Hospital administration system at University of Michigan, a 350 bed multi-specialty unit,
Right.
uses what I have created as a product at that time. It was a beta site for me going back there, but it's one of the most successful sites that is not talked about a lot. And then I did Nihilin Technologies. I co-founded with LC Singh, which is still a very thriving company. Started with a $10 million investment from Netcore Bank. I had the opportunity to transform the revenue administration of an entire country like South Africa.
Right.
Right? Something India is undergoing now, transforming the revenue administration
Right.
of an entire country. That's what gave me the opportunity. Nihilin Technologies is still a very thriving company. I'm no longer associated with it, but most of the founders are. My journey in terms of whether coming to India or working my entire life, many things that we talk about today, I have done them 20 years ago, or probably more, right?
Right.
In a career that spans about 35 years, I still feel 19 years at heart.
Coming back to this aspect, like you have done it multiple times. My takeaway from this conversation is that you believed in India, apart from being a proud Indian, which we all are. But you definitely believed in the potential and the opportunity India has to offer, and the opportunity and in terms of the gaps which are there. Now, coming to that, now as an ecosystem provider, like just to give some context, we in T Hub and along with DST have come up with this center called Math, and that is in the focus to build or promote AI startups. I understand like your conviction in Indian ecosystem and Indian market, and with that vision and with that conviction, even like entities like this T Hub also is established to tap those untapped opportunities, and now we are building this center of excellence called Math to promote and support AI and technology based startups. So when we are talking about it, like based on your experience, we'd love to understand the heart and the core of any AI development is data, right? And you have worked on different digital organization. I understand you worked with companies like Wells Fargo in the past, with a lot of tech giants in the beginning of your career across the world. How you see data as a key pillar has evolved, the perception towards data in AI development, and what we call is artificial intelligence, and then there is empirical intelligence, right? And how it has impacted, how the data management thing is taking place, and the challenges that the entrepreneurs are facing or the innovators are facing. You as an entrepreneur, you as a mentor, you as a leader, how you look at it from your lenses with your experiences, and what you will suggest to the budding entrepreneurs that how they should handle data and what will make meaningful data. Because also I will set some context behind this question is that I see every day more than like 10 new startups come and meet me. Fascinating part about is that the ideas, there is always something new to learn from all these things. But what I see also is the gap, that probably the challenge is people don't understand how to use the data. There are many people who are very clear like how to use the data, what kind of data, but not everyone is having the clarity. And probably for our listeners and viewers, if you can share some thoughts around that.
The fundamental part is data is, and always will be centric to life. But if you look at our lives,
Right.
over in the past 150 years, what is centric to life is enterprise, industry, products and services. The last 20 to 30 years has, because of the proliferation of internet, has exaggerated the relevance of e-commerce. So most of us today are engaged with our cell phones not for any useful activity, but for either buying or being sold something or listening to a narrative that does not add a cent of value to our lives per se. I want to focus on this keyword called value,
Right.
with data and life and commerce. So what has changed? Because of the fact that we have now internet, which gives you the 5G or even the 6G in many places. Access to data. You're able to understand at an individual level, right? Things that you did not understand before.
Absolutely.
Things that, when I look at my building watchman, who's an uneducated person, beyond 60 years, doing this job because he won't get any other job, right? He's using the phone to listen to music,
Right.
right? So, and it's not a very great phone or anything, but he's still able to use that device, right?
Right. Right.
And in our homes, we have our grandparents or parents who have aged ones who have learned to do banking and learned to do.
Absolutely.
And all this is an essential part of life. But this has been all centric and coming from the point of view of commerce, right? But we are at a critical pivot, on the planet itself, where everything that was seen from an enterprise view, right? You had ERP, you had CRM. It is all from a technology or information technology from the point of view of an enterprise, from the perspective of an enterprise. Now, that perspective is undertaking a 90 or a 360-degree change, right? It is becoming not a product view which the enterprise takes, but my life view. Okay, this is where I think the pyramid of industrialization is getting overturned to personalization. So until now, if you asked anybody to cast a business plan, they will want to show you a business plan that says how you will scale to 150,000, 300,000 reach. Okay.
Right.
But in today's world and moving forward, scale will not mean that. Okay. Scale will mean how many people actually engage and consume, okay, the right way. And as a consequence of it, you will continue to thrive irrespective of what happens to the economic factors in your environment, right? Because every time there has been an economic downturn, what happened? People lost jobs.
Right.
The GDP fell down. So we have been measuring, okay, our societies based on gross domestic product, which is basically consumption based.
Right.
Startups today are still following the legacy systems of from where they came from, being aping, and these people have succeeded, and we must perhaps emulate them. They have succeeded to a different context in a different era, and that era is the information era. This era is the intelligent era. There is a fundamental difference in the way in which you need to shift.
Absolutely.
And you need to shift it consciously. You cannot operate with those old models, with those old structures, those synergies, and those systems. You cannot only make a shift in the systems, you have to make a structural change, which is basically relationships. And then you have to make a cultural change, which is synergies. And when we talk about culture, not just in an enterprise, it at every level, at a society level, at the level of a family, the relationship between a father and a child has dramatically changed. I need to respect you, but I can question you, right? You need to listen to new ways because it's the inverse. Today, your little children, your teenage children can teach you a lot more than perhaps what you know.
Absolutely. Right. So
Right?
we don't have even clue about it, like what they're talking about.
And many organizations and societies are, especially the Eastern Europe, they're learning this. They have become receptive to the younger generation, the Gen A, 8 to 18. They can teach you many things that you actually don't know. They can bring you, when you say teach, they can bring you new perspectives.
Right.
They can create new learning. And this is the essence of it was necessary to trace this,
Set the context. Yeah.
of the data journey from a master. The meta was missing. Today it has become a lot more powerful than the master itself. The master, the meta to empirical, the empirical to analytical to contextual, which only and only then sets intelligent data. And this data journey is something that every single startup, irrespective of whether, no matter what it is doing, it may be a restaurant business, it may be a artist business, it may be a deep technology business, must and should embrace.
Right. So, but why you think like startups still are struggling or not appreciate the value of it, or not appreciate or not able to extract the value out of data? I understand from where you are coming, like, the conscious decision making of individuals and enterprises and startups to like how they utilize the data, how they make the best out of it. But sometimes, when we are seeing these challenges faced by the data, and the direction I want to take you or think about it is, or share with us, is that you're also conducting through your current company called Giggr, you're doing a lot of immersive learning courses and those things, and you are helping people to understand innovation, do innovation, how can they do it. Now, design thinking, even like 10 years back, it was there. I remember like I did a workshop with ISBs some 10, 15 years back probably on how to do innovation and using design thinking. And, now also it has taken a different aspect. And, I have seen couple of sessions that you are taking. From your perspective, what is, your objective and how you look at it, that how you can help these startups, how you can help these entrepreneurs, how you can help these innovators to understand data, connect it with innovation, and make it something meaningful, not just commercially but also from value perspective. So what is your take on those aspects?
So you kind of boiled the ocean, but I will try to bring it back
Yeah,
to
but
the little
probably
cup.
like you just have a 1 hour session mostly you take with this
Yeah.
in this sessions.
Yeah.
So
So let's
what is
understand
the
that.
fundamental that you basically look for?
The first thing, you when you go on an aircraft, they say, in case of a cabin pressure falling, please put the mask onto yourself before you can mask your co-dependents. Right.
Right.
The concept is the same, right? If you want to transform the idea of a startup, right, is why is a startup being created? Because it is trying to bring something unique, distinctive. Okay, so differentiation, distinction are two different words, right? So ideally it is trying to bring something distinctive, which is systemic.
Right.
Where there is no precedent is something called systemic, right? And differentiation is out of the box. Something is there, but you can dramatically shift the way it is done. And the last one is systematic. Okay, and that is something that should not even be negotiated upon. It's something that you have to keep doing, improvement, continuous improvement in your life.
Yeah, you have to evolve.
Glad you brought that word called evolve, because during this natural course of evolution, right, today we are trying to see that the points of disruptions, okay, were far and few between, from fire to internet, in between steam, telecommunications, and the transportations, air, ground, and all kinds of transportation. These were disruptors. They revolutionized our lives. They essentially, every single one of them, they shrunk the time and space for us. Today, disruptions that we are seeing, the rate at which they shrink the time and space for us is far greater and far higher than any other time in the history of our planet. So, if you want to be able to thrive and not just survive in that environment, right, you fundamentally need to change. And that is essentially where I think the startups need to think. We cannot actually take from the old. We need to have a break from the old, because those old systems did not survive.
Right.
And so the digital is one such humongous pivot. Like what happened when air transportation came into place. It at least gave a few people, it reduced the distance and time for a few people, but over a period of time of at least 50 years, right, you go to Indian airports today, the number of airports, it's filling out. Every flight is full.
Full.
And this flight no longer has people who travel on work alone. Okay, at least 50% of the flight is with travelers, people who are traveling for their family occasions, right?
Vacations, anything. Yeah.
And every strata of society is able to travel. So if you take one simple aspect like travel, okay, how that has reduced the time and space in the lives of all sections of society. This is where I think startups must begin to realize that what am I going to do in this new space, right? Two keywords that everyone talks about, but very little attention is paid to detail, which is engagement and experience. Engagement is process. And experience is basically the actual interaction, intelligent interaction that is happening.
But how, from a startup perspective, like he will use this data for innovation if you have to, like, during this, immersive learning courses that you're taking.
Yeah.
So if you have to give like a, mantra that how you connect data, innovation, and commerce.
Right.
So,
So at every level,
right.
as I said today, we talked about global capability centers. India
Absolutely.
is such a big place.
Right.
Hyderabad is one of the major hubs of GCCs,
Right.
right? And who have been using the GCC so far? For the last 20 years, the ones, the Fortune 500s and the ones
Right.
that have a lot of money, right? So they have gone through 4 waves of from outsourced outstations to in-source centers, what they call captive centers. And then they looked at the third wave, which said, okay, we need to do some innovation here. Okay, now this has become a digital transformation hub. At least on paper, this is the 4 transitions that is being planned. So startups have to think of that capability of being able to facilitate this transformation, the digital transformation.
Right.
Right? The established corporates have great difficulty in being able to switch off and switch on.
Right.
And this is where the startups actually play in becoming the real catalyzers of the digital transformation. Now, this capacity to transform is to this relevance of digital transformation or a digital society, not an information society. A digital society computes data in real time. So you can process your refund, you can make a new flight and reach your home around the same time for a personal emergency, all in real time. Not someone who processes your refund 20 days later, sends that money into your account 30 days later after 5 or 6 follow-ups, right? All this contact center does today, but that is not digital transformation, right? How can it happen in the moment? And this opportunity of
Right.
and this is all data play. It's data being computed in real time. So first and foremost, I think the part where startups today are lacking, and this is not just in India, but generally everywhere else, is they come from this notion that they have to become unicorns. And the fastest way is to get that killer application out there in the marketplace, get a valuation, and succeed.
Right.
And that focus needs to change. That is a passe 20-year-old idea of what we call a killer application. You have to start thinking in terms of a killer solution, and a solution where the engines, the components, and the connectors are constantly at work. You never stop. You ask a Boeing, you ask a BMW, you ask a Rolls Royce, their work on engines, components, and connectors never stops.
Right.
They're constantly pushing themselves, they're constantly pushing the boundaries. And they don't build engines for running a scooter or a car or a aeroplane. They build engines. And out of them they extract, applications. For them, the different types of transportations are applications. So we have a live example, and I hope that we can emulate that.
When we are having this kind of discussion, sometimes for you were saying that it is difficult for a corporate to do and switch on, switch off very quickly compared to a startup. But sometimes corporates do have the luxury of time, which startups don't have.
Right.
Right. So how a startup like can actually go this path, and when he is pressed from the investors, he is pressed from the real life challenges, like I need to develop something, sell something to the customers, I need to show it to something to the investor.
Right.
So
So you need to cut a tree in 3 hours. Startup can afford to think about cutting the tree for 2.5 hours and then figure a way of cutting it in 30 minutes. Right? And whereas a established company, they think about cutting a tree not for 3 hours. Even if you only have 3 hours, they say, if I don't cut this, nothing is going to happen to me. Apples and the Googles of this world are told, you have a streamline of products in your pipeline. Okay, why can't you release this to the market? Their answer is very simple. There is nobody competing with us even for our existing products. Why should we release what is there in our pipeline?
right.
Okay, so where is the opportunity for the startup? The opportunity for the startup is not to compete with the existing products, to actually compete or innovate on what is there in their pipeline and be able to bring that into the marketplace. Then what happens? You're forcing the hands of these people to become. So what is happening is the big corporations have the ability to innovate. They have the money, they have the resources, but they don't have the motivation, which is the to basically change the marketplace. They will run the marketplace the way they want to run it, the way it is convenient for them. Why? Because they are serving their shareholders. They are, as long as they're earning profits, right, they are happy. Now you might say, isn't that the same thing startups have to satisfy VC investors?
Right.
The answer is VC investors will have to change their mindset. Okay, why? Because the VCs up till the point today have come from a legacy of where ideas chased money. So you basically chased the money,
But
which
that is also changing now. Now the money is chasing the
money is
ideas.
that is now I think a large part of the VC community still has to come to terms with that notion. Even in a VC company, it's employees, right?
Right.
Successful startups,
You identify.
you identify and you fund them and you grow them,
Right.
Value proposition becomes growth
Mm-hmm.
and not just multiplication of money, right? From whom they are seeking the funds and for whom they are running the funds. Now that is the crux. What will happen is they are growth oriented, and therefore they will start telling the startup owners, listen, this application idea is great, but let's go back to the conceptualization table. Let's conceptualize this, because we are not creating this product or service to be acquired. We are creating this to be a class distinction. We want to eliminate the other products in the marketplace. Okay, that impetus, that incentive today, that narrative is missing from the VCs yet.
And probably that is what is not coming to the startups also. They don't
That
have
is
that
not,
motivation.
and so that is the cascade, because the startups are dependent on that money, right? 60, 70, 80% of the investment is in a startup, other than the, because, and this is one point I want to focus on is, we have to realize this, between a Foursquare which gets a $50 million funding at its early stage to a fantastic idea in India which does not even get, perhaps it's difficult to get 100,000. A flippant solution which gets 50 million, which has got no value addition to life, to something that is really life changing, that does not get $100,000. This is the essential difference between India or startups in India versus the rest of the world. And the ones that have gotten funded are all for ideas that a VC employee is comfortable to the limitation of his or her knowledge. I think what has happened is, and this has remained, this was a you scratch my back, I scratch yours kind of thing, right? But that is changing.
Right. So now coming back to this things, we got a very good understanding from you discussing about all the aspects of startup, corporate, data, innovation, AI. We have to quickly ask you, how you think a startup can actually make smart use of that data for building his solution. So what will be very quick 2-3 liners from your side that you would like to mention?
I think every startup must start with process and data modeling as a first step.
Right.
And that leads itself into the business modeling, which is the ecosystem modeling. And that modeling, so the conceptualization has to be very, very strong, followed by engineering, where the engines component, there must be a device of creating solutions, and that is the engineering. And these two must be very distinct, leading to then personalization and not industrialization.
Right.
So it'll be easy for them to take pieces of this and release it into the marketplace very distinctively to a segment of one. And that is the commercial success.
Right. But when we are talking about AI, like during your discussions, you have multiple times emphasis that AI is doing beyond empirical research and empirical aspects of data handling that we were doing. So when people are working on innovation and data, if we combine these two things for AI, so how you think or what aspects the entrepreneur or the problem solver, the innovator should look at it data from that perspective, like to get that meaningful insight? What should be his approach towards that, or how you are doing in your startups in those lines?
So, from Giggr's design learning approach,
Right.
as well as, so we look at the, as once again said, that the third step in that 4 steps is from conceptualization to engineering.
Right.
Now, in this, it is basically a solution, and this is a solution for life. So there are 7 stations of life: environment, health, wealth, education, mobility, technology, and governance. These are the 7 stations of life
Right.
that every single living being on this planet goes through every single second. You're an industry, or you're creating a solution, any one of them. But when it comes to personalization, this is the step when data needs to be analyzed as to how it connects to other aspects of life, because that is what I call a segment of one. And this is a fundamental shift in the way in which we start looking at data.
And that is very different from the way we were using data when we were talking about big data and those things. It is mostly just the Excel analysis of data, and that's it.
And that's a commercial data. And that is the data of buying and selling. This is the data of life. How does it become useful in the life journey versus the
individual.
journey of a product? And so you were looking at the journey of data from the perspective of a product or a service. Now you're looking at it from the journey of a life of a person.
And
of an
that's where you
individual.
create the value.
That's where you create the value.
I think that's a very wonderful understanding, and the way you have summed it up. Actually, that is I think that is a highlight of this discussion with you. Because that is a golden statement I will consider. Now, coming back to the final few points, I just want to seek your thoughts around it. Is that you have been in India, you're looking at India now from a policy level, from the government side, from the ecosystem side. How you think the things are evolving, and if I have to ask you more from your individual perspective, 3 things that you want the ecosystem to do in next 5 years, and that includes entrepreneurs, investors, government, policymakers, everyone. So 3 things if you have to highlight.
The 3 things are 3 essential processes. The first one is value capital. We as a nation have to really start unearthing,
Right.
so capital is money invested in growth. It's just not money invested. So we must find the right level investments, okay, and that right investments have to be value, and that value, therefore, as I already said, has to be impactful, and impactful on the quality of life improved. And this must be a critical measure. Once we have this measure, it's a piece of cake to be able to address the 17 SDGs, the UN SDGs. Second part is the intellectual capital which goes with it, which is actually this learning between what is your status quo, what is the desired state, what is the delta, and therefore where is my positioning. It needs to be very, very critical that you position correctly, accurately, precision. See, this is something, it cannot be vague. It has to be accurate.
Very precise. Yeah.
Precise, right? And I think we lack that. That is the second thing that needs to come. Once these 2 are there, I have an impact. I need to establish this impact, and therefore there is this delta that I need to bridge. The most important component is this is not going to happen with just technology. It is going to happen by humans who center technology. When we say human-centered technology, who centers that technology? Not technology doesn't center humans. Humans center technology. So one of the things we need to understand very clearly from the way technology has shifted is, until this point of time on the planet, we have had to learn how to operate technology. Now, with artificial and cognitive intelligence, we need to let technology know how to operate, how to address us. It's actually the overturn. Right. And I think this is something that we need to learn. And that is why, for me, this whole capability building starts with learning, then goes to training, then goes to practice, then goes to performance, and only then goes to measuring the impact.
When I hear you, there is a lot need to be done from the ecosystem, and it's a holistic effort. It is not just any individual that can do. But overall, I am understanding, and you also believe in our past discussions, we have discussed it multiple times, that as a country, as ecosystem, we are evolving. Do you think that gives you the confidence that, what happened in India in the mid-90s, like we became the software exporters of the world, or early 2000, something similar is going to happen for the AI products and AI solutions also, that India India will become the largest exporter of AI solutions, or India will lead the journey in any way?
When we do a few of these things successfully, and I must say that in the last few days I have had a lot more deeper understanding of T-Hub, for
Right.
example. The math initiative that you're talking about. If this math initiative can basically span these 7 life stations, and there can be a conscious effort of bringing ecosystems to kind of understand the convergence of content computing and communications in this area. And I think that is important, because if you really look at the big players in the world, what are they doing? They are working on this 4 C's, the convergence of content, computing, and communications. Right? And I think we need to basically build that. And only then will we move. So AI is one step of intelligence, which basically enables you to become, which enables convenience. But we need to cross that chasm, and in order for it to become efficacy, of solutional efficacy, right? Efficiency to efficacy, I think we need cognitive intelligence, and that is personalization. And I think there must be a conscious effort. I see many of the stuff that you're doing are in the right foundational step at T-Hub. You're creating this infrastructure for an intelligent infrastructure. This can be converted into not just an infrastructure, but an infrastructure that can be plugged and played. We call it a service. And I think that is where the synergy is. And I think this is a great job, and it must become. And this is where a startup who don't have a means to funds will be able to create.
Yeah, that is our whole idea, to help the ecosystem, build the ecosystem, how we can help it. And we strongly believe that in next 10 years, AI and AI related services is something that India will lead the world.
Right.
And because we have that kind of potential, not just the human capital, but also other aspects like the cognitive intelligence, the data, information, experience, infrastructure, all these things that we are also trying to contribute from our side. But as an ecosystem, I think there are a lot of other stakeholders are also working towards it.
For example, Telangana has to compete not with Karnataka, but with Dubai. Dubai is making investments in AI, okay, and it showcases AI in such a way. So the first hurdle, if you even from a competition perspective, is how do you even meet the scales of Dubai? How can you invite people to make Hyderabad effective? Not see. So if you want people from different parts of the world to come and live here and make this the intellectual property of the capital of the world, you have to create the infrastructure for it. Whether it is in terms of traffic, whether it is in terms of air quality, life quality food. Hyderabad is not just about biryanis. As a vegetarian, it's also about gongura and venkaya kura.
Right, absolutely. Absolutely. So I think that brings us to the end of this wonderful discussion. My takeaways are like, the learnings that I got from this thing, and I am sure people who are going to listen to you, they will also have a great experience. And I'm sure, like, I wish all the best for your new startup, Giggr, and I hope that not just the business grows, but from your business, you're also trying to help a lot of other entities and other startups, other corporates, and I wish that all of them grows. And with T-Hub, to the end of this discussion, thank you, Subbu. Thanks for your time, and it was wonderful listening to you. And I hope that everyone will benefit a lot after this session.
Thank you very much. Look forward to the collaboration in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching this video. Do like, share, and subscribe to our social media channel to know more about AI and ML.